heading into Week 4 NFL action here with Alex Awesomo Baker. Alex, what's going on?
Not much, man. Just taking a look at some of the Yahoo NFL tournaments for the weekend. I noticed a lot of interesting pricing that will make our strategy a little bit different than other sites. Notably, Wayne Gallman, $10. I mean, what a
Ooh,
steal!
that's the steal of the week. We are definitely going to be popping him into some lineups when we build later. So shout out to our sponsor, Yahoo Daily Fantasy. Head on over there and sign up if you haven't already. They have a number of great contests going on. This week, the $1 Million Baller, $50K to first, $10 entry, $44,000 total entries. They have a 5K free roll, the Yahoo NFL Yahoo Cup that you can get into, 5K to first place. I really like their $1 tournaments. Top prize, $4K for a $1 tournament with just 28,000 people in there. So head on over and check that out. It's the best place to play, especially when you consider that so many pros don't enter because they cannot upload CSVs. So any other thoughts on Yahoo generally? Am I missing any of the great features that are there, Alex?
I think you did a good job summarizing. One thing I really like is that it has a lot of nostalgic value for me. I won my first big GPP on Yahoo.
Really?
MLB tournament. It was my first big score. I got like 5K. It might not sound like a lot to you guys watching at home, but that was kind of one of the wins that gave me confidence to go full time. I remember it, I had the Yankee stack back then. I didn't even know what Fantasy Cruncher was, so I was using this, I think it was called like Lineup Lab or something. I don't even know if it exists anymore, but I generated all my lineups, I entered in my hand, and I had a Yankee stack. I had John Ryan Murphy as my catcher. No one else with the Yankees had him, and he had a home run that day to catapult me to first.
That clinched it for you, hey? Memories. It's beautiful. Hey, I also noticed on Yahoo that NHL is starting next week. I'm sure there aren't too many NHL fans watching, but if there are a few Canadians out there, the NHL Yahoo Cup is there, and they give away 10K in total prizes. So that's a league you can join, and it's absolutely free. So hockey this year, I think, on Yahoo is going to be great now with them opening things up to Canada. So any thoughts generally on the last night's game? Did Jordan Howard wreck your night like it did for everyone else?
Yes. Actually, I had an interesting thing with Yahoo and Thursday night games. At home, we have AT&T for our TV provider, and apparently they have some issue with the NFL Network where they cut them from their roster. And no, that's the only channel that has the Thursday night game. But then I realized that you can stream the game from the Yahoo app.
Yeah.
So I watched last week that barn burner with Gardner Minshew and Marcus Mariota. Unfortunately, I missed the game last night. I heard it was a stinker, huh?
Yeah, it was pretty good. It wasn't as good as Jacksonville, Tennessee, but
Nothing really is. I mean, Gardner Minshew, he's the new Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, and he gets Denver this week, which should be fun. All right, so for this show, we're going to be doing for the next about 25 minutes, we're going to go through some of these high total games, just discuss generally what Alex's thoughts are on some of these plays on Yahoo and their price points and how expensive they are. So that we're going to go through the five highest total slate games on the slate. Then our next segment, we are going to build a cash lineup together on Yahoo. And then after that, we're going to build a couple GPP lineups just to kind of give you a feel for how you should build a lineup. Probably don't want to use them because other people are going to use them, but you can still use them as a basis for and maybe make a couple pivots off them. So let's dive right into the highest total game of the week, the Kansas City Chiefs at the Detroit Lions, 54.5 points. Alex, any general thoughts on this game?
Yeah, that's surprising that Kansas City would be in the highest total game of the week. Huh? So,
Shocker, I know.
Yeah, I ran a lot of lineups for Yahoo, and Patrick Mahomes was one of the top guys that came up in my lineups. Matthew Stafford, not quite as much. I mean, the lines. I like how Yahoo shows you the Sportsbook lines right on their page here. So they're 6.5 dogs. That means they're projected for 24 points, not bad. But Matthew Stafford, $29, not getting a bargain for him.
Yeah.
But I think that Kelsey, Watkins, 28, $24, those are pretty good prices. I think that Damian Williams is probably coming back, so that's going to mitigate my interest in the running backs in Kansas City. Which guys are you looking at this week?
Yeah, so I was looking at the ownership here, and we have Patrick Mahomes at $40 and 20% ownership. That's a little bit higher than he is on some other sites, so I might not be inclined to play Mahomes at that ownership. And then if you go down, we have Matt Stafford at just 2.1% ownership. That might be a little bit low. I would guess he maybe gets up to 5% as the week goes on. So my initial response to that would be maybe if you're going to game stack this, to start out with Stafford and then bring it back with a couple Chiefs, maybe as a contrarian move in large GPPs.
I like that. I think that if Stafford is going to be so low owned, I mean, they're going to have to air it out in this game to have a chance to win. I mean, last week they got super lucky versus the Eagles being ahead the whole game, but versus the Chiefs, probably they're going to be playing from behind, and that's going to equal a lot of Stafford passing attempts.
Yeah, it makes total sense. So we have Patrick Mahomes graded as a double A grade for you in your rankings. What about Patrick Mahomes receivers? Travis Kelce, A, B, Sammy Watkins, B, B. Let me just pull up. I'm on the wrong page here. Sorry. But those guys are going to get a lot of the ownership. Do you have any interest in them? How do you approach something like the Chiefs, where we also have two secondary options in Mecole Hardman and Demarcus Robinson? Those guys are getting a lot less ownership this week. They still have some pretty big upside, I think. You approach it where you might, if say you were stacking with Mahomes or stacking this game, you would pair maybe Kelsey with one of them, Watkins with one of them, or would you just go for the chalk and pair up with Watkins and Kelsey, given that they're projected for higher totals?
What we've seen in the past couple of weeks, last week Hardman had a big game. The previous week it was Demarcus Robinson. So these guys are on people's radars. They're not cheap on Yahoo. $17 and $16 are quite expensive for the number 3 and 4 options in the passing game. So I'll probably be laying off them this week. I prefer Watkins, who's been a little bit slow to get going over weeks 2 and 3. But I mean, he might be matched up with Darius Slay this week, Lions top cornerback, but still 24 is cheap for their number 1 wide up.
I like it. I'm with you there. Sorry, I had the wrong pricing. We have points A and value C for those two. So they are definitely priced up a little bit. There's no denying that. You said you had no interest in this Chiefs run game. Are we basically looking at like a 2 or 3-headed monster with LaShawn McCoy, Damian Williams, and Darrell Williams as well?
Yeah, I'm projecting pretty much a 50-50 split with Damian Williams and LaShawn McCoy. And, I mean, that's nothing to get too excited about. The prices are pretty high for that kind of role. Kansas City airing the ball out a lot. So LaShawn McCoy would be my preferred option, but there's some running backs that I like a lot more this week.
Fair enough. What about the line side of the ball? We touched on Matt Stafford so far just because of his low ownership. Then we look at some of his receiving options. We have Kenny Golladay, $20. We have Marvin Jones, $17, probably going to get a lot less ownership than Golladay at those prices. And then we have some ancillary options. We have Danny Amendola for $14, and we have their tight end TJ Hawkinson for $18, which seems pretty pricey to me, given that he's dudded 2 straight weeks. What are your thoughts on these Detroit Lions pass catchers?
I think they're pretty good options, specifically Jones and Golladay. I mean, predicting the Lions will throw the ball a lot this week. One stat I look at is the number of plays per drive. Kansas City is very low on that compared to how good they are. So I'm expecting the Lions will get a good amount of plays in, and that will equal a lot of Stafford passing attempts. I think Kenny Golladay is also in play. Let's check his price here. He is
$20.
Kerryon Johnson, I meant.
Oh, Kerryon Johnson.
Yeah, sorry. $19 seems like a pretty good price for him.
Yeah. So one of the Chiefs' weaknesses on defense has always been recently has been their run defense as well. So heading over to Kerryon Johnson here, he looks like he's going to get some ownership because he's priced pretty reasonably on Yahoo at $19. What specifically, like, how will you approach Kerryon Johnson stacks? Like, let's say you have a Mahomes stack with Kelsey or Watkins, which implies that the Chiefs are going to be scoring some points. Will you then be a little bit scared of putting Kerryon Johnson into that stack, knowing that the game script might not be there for him, or do you just not worry about that and pop him in anyways?
So usually the way you win GPPs is your quarterback gets a lot of passing attempts. That'll happen when the Lions put up a lot of points. You get an extra bonus if the Chiefs are playing from behind because they'll have more incentive to pass. And in that scenario, the Lions are doing better than expected. So I think that going with Kerryon Johnson makes a lot of sense. What you're hoping for is the Lions' run game does well that game. And the Chiefs have to throw a lot of times to keep up to Watkins, to Kelsey. And if that scenario happens, then you could be in for a GPP score, winning the baller for 50K because we know that Mahomes is extremely effective when he is passing.
So, sorry, if I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying you have no problem stacking Kerryon Johnson with the Chiefs offense. Would you also stack him with Stafford as well, or no?
I would be more hesitant to stack him with Stafford because I'm only projecting him for between 3 and 4 targets, and that isn't like too big a correlation. So I'm really hoping that if I have Stafford, he's going to be throwing the ball a lot. The run game probably won't be working quite as well, and I'll be looking at Galladay and Jones.
Makes sense. The Chiefs were the worst team in the NFL in 2018 in run DVOA, and they are the worst team in 2019 in run DVOA. So Kerryon Johnson feels like a sneaky play here. The ownership's there. I shouldn't say sneaky. A lot of people are going to be on him, so consider your stacks wisely. Let's move on to the next game. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Los Angeles Rams. We have a much improved Tampa Bay run defense. We have an injured Chris Godwin. We have Todd Gurley, who knows what to do with Todd Gurley. You seem to have a pretty good idea. What are your general thoughts on this game here, Alex?
I think we got two good offenses. I'm always a fan of Jameis Winston because the Tampa run game is pretty weak, so when they get it done, it's going to be through the air. Goff also, when he's passing the ball, that can do a lot for you in fantasy. When I'm looking at the prices, Gurley seems about where he should be at $26. Tampa's running backs I'm not super interested in. But I see Godwin's price has fallen because Evans had the big week last week. Godwin is 19. Assuming he plays, I think that's a pretty good price for him. And Perryman at 10. Also, kind of like a sneaky pairing with Winston, but that's a guy that has a lot of talent.
I haven't looked up Perriman's snap counts. He hasn't really done anything yet this year, but I was really high on him to start the year, and that's the kind of bargain play I think you probably want at your wide receiver for these large GPPs. I'm just going to look him up, and if you missed it earlier, Chris Godwin was back at practice today, so there's encouraging signs that he will be ready to go. Brashad Perriman, 52 offensive snaps in week 3, 68% of the snaps. Won't have a chance to look up his row runs, but it still seems like he's still the featured guy in the 3 wide receiver set. So don't dislike that call at all. With this improved Tampa Bay run defense, are you then more likely to target the Rams passing attack? And if so, how do you stack things up with Jared Goff?
I'm not super high on Gurley just because he is quite expensive. His role is significantly reduced this year. He's getting majority of the carries, but not the lion's share like we're used to. He is utilized a reasonable amount in passing game, but not nearly as much as last year as well. His 26 is pretty expensive for him. I still haven't projected to be a good good player this week, but this is the kind of guy I'm going to be price sensitive on. The Rams wideouts, Woods seems to have gotten low price this week, so he's pretty interesting. Cup I have as the best option as far as projection, so that makes a nice pairing. And at the tight end position, the Rams don't really have any great options, so it'd be choosing between Cooks, Woods, and Cup for me.
So you're telling me you're not going to be accepting my Todd Gurley and Leonard Fournette for Zeke Elliott trade offer in the Awesomo Charity League?
Actually, I was really considering it. Zeke has kind of gotten less work this year, and
Yeah, he's terrible, man. He doesn't look the same.
yeah, I mean Fournette, I'm pretty bullish on. He's been getting.
Oh yeah, that Jags offensive line, just get behind him. They're gonna run. They're gonna run all day.
It's a PPR league, though. I mean, he's been getting the targets.
It's true.
Too, so
It's true. We'll talk. We'll talk. All right, that makes sense. So Cooks, Woods, Cup. I think we talked about the Rams a little bit last time. You're just give me a quick thought on rostering all three of them in a GPP, in a large GPP, or would you just go maximum of two?
I'd consider it. I think that what you're hoping for is Goff throws 5 to 6 touchdowns. That happens about a couple times a year for the NFL, so you're really hoping for an outlier. But if you're entering the baller, we got 44,000 people in this tournament. You're hoping for an extreme outcome to win this. So if I stack up all three receivers, what I'm hoping is that a couple of them get a couple touchdowns and the third one does pretty well. And that's definitely a possibility. So what I would hope for is that we have a shootout. Jameis is throwing a bunch. The Rams are throwing a bunch. That'll slow the clock down. And there will be more plays in this game. And if you have Evans and maybe Perryman or Godwin Perryman, you can fit in three of the receivers for the Rams, and I think that could be kind of a way to play for if this game's a shootout, then you have a great chance to win the baller.
I like it. Well, we got Mike Evans getting a little bit of a price bump this week after his massive game last week, $23, and then Chris Godwin, who you said you don't mind, at $19. OJ Howard at $16. Is at these price points, is Mike Evans still the go-to target, or do you prefer the savings on Chris Godwin?
I do have Evans projected to be significantly better than Godwin, but the price kind of accounts for that to some extent. Evans is 20% more than Godwin. So, I mean, I think that if everyone is going on Evans, trying to run it back, maybe I go to Godwin. OJ Howard has been kind of disappointing this year, just not seeing the field nearly as much as you'd hope, and he's not even that cheap on Yahoo, so that wouldn't be a guy I'm targeting.
As someone who selected him many times in best ball over Evan Ingram, I am echoing your sentiment about disappointment there.
Yeah,
sorry.
I gotta give a plug for the Yahoo Best Ball here. Have you seen their Week 5 contest yet?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I entered like probably 50 best ball tournaments at the start of the year, but now you can still draft for weeks. I think it's weeks 5 through 17.
Yeah.
And I found those tournaments to be pretty fun, and the competition definitely is easy, so I recommend it.
They're so much fun. Yeah, I'm just looking at the Yahoo Best Ball right now. It looks like we've got some free tournaments, up to $100 tournaments as well. So I really enjoy best balls because I love the ability to just sit there and crack a beer and just enjoy the draft. In addition to getting the entertainment value out of actually watching the games. Plus, Yahoo has this feature where you can edit your pre-draft rankings as well, which is nice in case you mess up a pick or something like that. So. Head on over and check out the best ball options as well. Let's final thoughts on this one. I just wanted to see if you had any interest in either of these Tampa Bay running backs.
Nah. I mean, these guys. I think Tampa's been running the ball a little bit more this year, but just it's a three-way split between Barber, Jones, and Dare Ogunbowale. So, not really a lot of fantasy value concentrated in any of them.
I'm on team Ogunbowale. I want to see him get some work down the stretch here, but I don't know if it's going to happen. Yeah, this is an interesting game. I think we were talking a little bit about it on the betting show. One of the things I think Ben Rossa brought up was just how the Rams D line might be able to just dominate this Tampa Bay offensive line, who's like sole decent players, Ali Marpet. Otherwise, they're a pretty weak unit. So that's not going to bode well for the running game as well. I don't think teams have too much success going up against the Rams here. So, all right, let's move on. We got 3 games left before we start building some lineups, so we're going to have to go a little bit quicker here. Washington at the New York Giants, 49.5 total. Some breaking news earlier. Terry McLaurin, F1, limited in practice today with hamstring issues. That kind of puts a bit of a damper on this one. What are your general thoughts on this one? I was surprised at that total of 49.5. Were you?
A little bit surprised, yeah. I mean, Daniel Jones showed that he has some talent last week for sure. Case Keenum has been surprisingly good with the Redskins, who last year just really struggled in the passing attack. So I can see how maybe these teams will get it going this week, and I have some interest. I mean, as I mentioned, Wayne Gallman is extremely cheap, but I think that both Washington and the Giants are stackable as well with the quarterback, so I think this one will be a good one.
So we have the Giants side of this, Daniel Jones. It's looking like a pretty concentrated offense. Wayne Gallman's going to get the snaps. I don't even think they have another running back on there. We have Evan Engram. We have Sterling Shepard. Will you be stacking up Daniel Jones despite the fact that he's been priced up a little bit here? He's $29 on Yahoo. That's a little bit expensive, isn't it? What you still have him graded out pretty well, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's really a bad option at all. He runs the ball a good amount. Last week he ran for 2 touchdowns, so that was encouraging. And you can stack him up pretty nicely with Shepard and Ingram. They should get a bump this week with Saquon Barkley ruled out, because I don't think Wade Gallman is going to get nearly as many targets, and Elijah Penny as well, kind of being the backup running back. I don't think he's really known to be a great pass catcher. So
he's more of a fullback, so I don't think he's really going to get that much work unless he vultures a couple goal line carries, maybe.
Supposedly he's like a converted fullback to running back or something. I don't know what that means, but I don't think Wayne Gallman's gonna.
It doesn't usually bode well for your pass catching ability, though.
I don't know, man. And maybe Elijah Penny is another use chick.
I accidentally clicked the very first week. I ended up catching a lineup because I clicked on Benny Fowler here, if you can believe it, by mistake. I'm not sure how I ended up with him, and it turns out he's actually not that bad. Do you have any interest in any of these other wide receivers on the Giants side of the ball?
They kind of have a rotation going with Shepard, Fowler, TJ Jones. So I'm really only there are two Shepards.
Yeah.
Sterling Shepard sees the field most of the game, but the rest of the guys are kind of rotation. So that really mitigates my interest.
Makes sense. Final thoughts on Wayne Gallman here. At $10, this is the best bargain on the slate. He's going to get ownership. What are you doing with him from a macro sense?
I'm locking him in. I think that $10. I mean, if he's half as good as Saquon Barkley, that's a huge bargain. And
that's 15 fantasy points right there.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, the math. You did the math. All right, I like it. But yeah, he's a lock. His ownership in our projections isn't even that high so far, so we'll see how it turns out on Sunday. But I'm just locking him in.
What? Just give me any quick thoughts you have about Washington here. Case Keenum. With the obvious bring back here, and I think what everyone was going to do was bring back Terry McLaurin. If he's injured, that's going to be a little bit harder to do. If you were stacking up this Giants offense, would you bring it back with who would you bring it back with? And the flip side of that argument is, would you stack the other side of this game and stack up Washington and some of these underpriced receivers and bring it back with some Giants?
I think Chris Thompson is a nice option to bring it back. Also, Terry McLaurin. Not going to read into the injury news too much until Sunday. We'll see. We'll have a better picture by then. But Vernon Davis also has been performing at a high level this year so far, getting he's been getting a lot of work in the passing game as far as running the routes. And I think Paul Richardson and Trey Quinn are cheap enough that maybe I'd give them a look, but they wouldn't be core plays.
All right. Let's move on here. Next game we have Seattle at Arizona, 48-point total. Do you have any general thoughts on this one? The first thing that struck out to me this week when I looked at pricing was just I was kind of interested in Seattle. This seems to be a fairly concentrated offense now. Tyler Lockett is getting his target share up to 9 per game instead of 4. DK Metcalf looks like a man against boys. And, of course, we have the Arizona Cardinals paced up offense. What are you doing with this one, Alex?
I think that, Seattle should be in consideration just because of the matchup. Arizona just plays at a fast pace. Seattle should get extra plays, and they're pretty productive with that. Chris Carson is reasonably priced at 22, but with Rashad Penny coming back, most likely I'm not as interested as last week. But the passing game, Lockett, I mean, he killed it last week with Wilson, so I think that stack is playable. And DK Metcalf as well. Will Dissly, going to be very popular this week.
Will Dissly, the Seahawks traded their backup tight end who is siphoning about 30% of snaps, Nick Van Nett, over to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Dissly is very interesting. He is priced up here on Yahoo, though, at $18.
Yeah, I think he makes sense in a stack. That price really is kind of high. But yeah, I'm expecting Jacob Hollister to be called up from the practice squad to take some passing routes from Dissly, so I'm not going to get over the moon. But Vanette being traded should give him at least a few more routes this week.
I like that. Jacob Hollister, a little inside info there. I just wanted to get one thought on the Arizona Cardinals here before we move on to the final game. What do you do with this offense knowing that they're running in 4 wide receiver sets so often? Does that mitigate some of the upside for these wide receivers in large GPPs? Or are you is that all just because they throw so much and they're so paced up, it's kind of offset by that?
Well, they're running a 4th wide receiver instead of a tight end, so usually that means there's just as many guys out there to catch the ball. So it's about a non-factor for me compared to another team. Max Williams and Charles Clay are barely out on the field for passing plays. So Kirk and Fitzgerald are clearly number 1 and number 2, and then Bird is kind of someone I might take a stab on just for salary relief, but Yahoo, I don't see much need with Wayne Gellman at $10 and some other plays that we'll talk about later.
All right, Wayne Gellman lock week. Okay, final game. Let's do this one real quickly here. We got the Dallas Cowboys heading into New Orleans. They are 2.5-point favorites heading into the Coors Field of football. Dak Prescott priced up. Zeke Elliott priced decently. Alvin Kamara kind of decently priced as well. General thoughts on this one? Any players standing out to you?
Yeah, I think that it's a nice competitive game with the spread of 2.5. Let's see the pricing here. Teddy Bridgewater actually isn't at the minimum, so a little bit less interested. He was pretty ineffective last week. Dak Prescott is just at the maximum price. I'm probably going to prefer Mahomes significantly in that instance. And then, I mean, Michael Thomas is super expensive. Without Breeze, he shouldn't be nearly as good. Ted Ginn might be a flyer play, but I'm not super excited. Kamara also very expensive. So I guess I have some interest in Elliott. 34 seems reasonable. But I'm not super enthusiastic about this game as a whole, I suppose.
Especially when you look at some of the pricing on this slate, there just aren't as many running backs. So one of the nice things about Yahoo is they do have that Sunday night game, and you can get to play Ezekiel Elliott at $34. Only $3 more than Derrick Henry for some reason. So yeah, he seems like a bargain in that context.
When you put it that way, man, sign me up.
All right, you can only choose one. Before we move on to building some cash and GPP lineups here, Alex, tell us a little bit about some of the stuff that we've got over at Awesomo.com and some of the new tools that people can use when they sign up.
Yeah, I think that to win on Yahoo, you can make some good lineups, just figuring out who the best players are. But to really take it to the next level, you're going to have to figure out what is the best approach strategically based on who everyone else is playing. So my recommendation is that you combine our projections with our ownership projections and really find how can I make a lineup that has a high projection but also is different enough from everybody else's lineups to be profitable in the long run and give you a great shot at winning the baller. So one of the tools that I come up with is the top stacks, and that will tell you, based on the ownership, who has a better chance of being the top scoring team as far as passing on the week, and that'll be your first stop so that you can identify what are the low-end plays compared to their potential this week. In addition, I mean, we have so much free content to help you use the information on the site. We got all the free shows, strategy show every day. We got On the Contrary on Saturdays, featuring Ian Hartitz this week. On Sunday, check us out at bright and early at 8:45 a.m. I guess 9:45 Eastern,
Nice.
and we're there with you before every lock. So make sure to catch our live before locks, and I think you can do pretty well on your own intuition, especially on Yahoo, where the competition isn't quite stiff. But if you don't use the information on Awesomo, I think you're leaving money on the table. If you utilize that information along with your own intuition, I think that will really help you bring your game to the next level.
Awesome. Couldn't have said it better myself. I got 2 more quick plugs for you. Head on over to Awesomo.com right now. Emacs article, the NFL Week 4 Yahoo 400K baller just dropped right now. In there's a link that you can follow to get $30 in free YSRP dollars. So that's just free money if you haven't signed up already. That is on the main page at Awesomo.com right now. If not, you can find it on our NFL page if you're watching this video a little bit later. And one more thing I just wanted to tell people about. Adam Pfeiffer's been doing this great matchups column for us recently. It is a behemoth. He goes through every single game of the week, 15,000 words quite often, or I should say on the main slate. It is like the most in-depth fantasy article out there today. And today, for the first time, he's released it in podcast form. So sign on up. You can hit it. There's a little link on the Awesomo.com main page. You can find us on SoundCloud. You can find us on any major podcast host. And that article will be up as read by Adam Pfeiffer. So check it on out. All right. Let's build some lineups. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, go.
Okay,
your screen shared. We're good. I can't see it.
We're doing cash, so I recommend Wayne Gallman as our first play here.
Nice. Okay. We forgot to share our screen here, but that's all right. We'll wing it. Right. You put in Wayne Gallman, I take it.
Yes.
Perfect. Lock him in. Lock him in for cash. Lock him in for GPP. Will you get up to 100% in GPPs too, or is lock? Or are you just saying lock to say, like high amount?
On Yahoo, I think I will have him in 100%.
Wow.
Twofold reason. I mean, some people may just not scroll down enough to get to him. He's about at the bottom of the list on running backs. So people are going to forget to put him in. He's just by far the best value. He'll up your projection, give you a much better chance of cashing in the baller. And I think that you can get different enough at the other positions that you'll still have a great chance to win it outright.
All right, so let's pop in our quarterback here. I'm going to guess who you're going to want to play here. He has some rushing upside. He is in a game that we've already talked about. He is your only double A graded quarterback of the week. Duke's own Daniel Jones.
Man, I like it. I mean, he had the crazy week last week, but they're projecting it not to be an aberration because, I mean, they're projecting the Giants to be good again. And when we have Gallman and Jones, that kind of gives you a little bit of stability because if they run it in with Gallman, you're still getting points for that.
Yep, that makes sense. So you kind of have like some built-in sort of floor plays, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right, we got our quarterback. Shall we move on to the running back portion? We got one running back already in a slot. That means we're probably looking at, would you say, paying up here at running back? What's your first instinct?
So the one guy that's really jumping out at me is Leonard Fournette. I mean, he has the workload of Saquon Barkley at half the price. I mean, the team around him Not very good. Jacksonville's a 3-point dog to Denver, which is a pretty low place to be. But he's $20, and that's the main factor. I think he's gonna get some targets, run majority of the carries for Jacksonville, and that's a nice spot.
He could always break out a 69-yard run, right?
Nice.
Just like yeah. So I'm a little bit worried. Like I always defer to you because you're about a million times better player than I am. But I'm a little bit worried about this Jags offensive line. Do you worry about stuff like that sometimes? Like we've just been terrible in pass blocking at all. Does that mitigate the upside, or is just the price? The price here is just too good.
Yeah, I mean, Jacksonville, they're going to run as many plays as any other team, and Leonard Fournette is clearly the number one there as far as fantasy. So, I mean, it's not something I'm like super excited about, but the price is just too good.
So we have Fournette with 100% offensive snap count, and the other guy I think that you're thinking about in that range probably is Kerryon Johnson, who only saw 75% snap count there. Yeah. So that is another reason to go with Fournette here. Maybe he'll fly a little bit under the radar with the assumption that the Denver Broncos have Denver's a pretty tough place to play, and they're a pretty tough run defense as well, or they have been in the past. So, all right, so we're popping in Leonard Fournette. We got Wayne Gallman. We got Daniel Jones. What are we doing at wide receiver?
So one thing I'm thinking about this week is we got this game we haven't talked about, Chargers at Miami. That's a good spot for cash, but not as much for GPPs because we know the Chargers are going to score their points. And with Hunter Henry out, Keenan Allen has been performing well. Austin Eckler has been performing well. So either of those guys make nice plays in cash and tournaments, but Keenan, he's kind of expensive, but we should be able to get there because we saved some money at running back, so that would be my choice.
All right, popping in Keenan Allen. He usually has a pretty safe floor as well. Gets a high target volume, was leading the NFL in expected points for heading into last week as well. So I got no problem with that. He's been the best receiver in the NFL this year. All right, so we got two wide receiver spots left. Who's next?
You tell me.
Oh my God! Well, my initial, actually, I was looking at Terry McLaurin, but he's actually kind of priced up here, so yeah. That's not so good. Let's look down for something a little bit cheaper here. I wouldn't mind getting in some Christian McCaffrey in that flex spot. Maybe nice. That's too expensive though.
That's a good idea.
What about Cooper Kupp here? He's been like a top 5 wide receiver. If you go back to last year and just all the games that he started from start to finish, not including his injuries, he's one of the top 5 receivers in the NFL in terms of fantasy points. You have him as an A for points and a B for value. What do you think about that?
I like it. For a long time, I have said Woods, Kupp, and Cooks were options 1A, 1B, and 1C, but it's pretty clear at this point Kupp just gets targeted more than those other guys, and he's doing well with the targets he gets, so I think he's a good cash play.
Yeah, it looks like Brandon Cooks' snap counts actually went down last game out. Not his usual 97%. He was down. Josh Reynolds actually got a little bit of playing time, whereas Kupp's steady. He was on the field for every single one of the Los Angeles Rams snaps. Wouldn't expect that to change. Is a threat in the red zone. Does get targeted a lot. Runs routes all over the field in the slot, and he's probably got a pretty safe floor as well. So I like him a lot for cash as well. What's our dollar amount looking like? How much money we got right now?
We got 21 left per player.
I guess I could just put these in with you along the way here. I'm just a little bit slow. So
all right, let's do tight end.
Tight end, yeah, absolutely. Who you liking?
So I think there are 3 guys that are standing out to me: Kelsey, Ingram, and Darren Waller. If we want to get some expensive guys, Darren Waller is kind of like a spend down option, but he's just been on the field like way more than your average tight end. Oakland, not the greatest matchup versus Indiana, but the price of $18 is pretty reasonable for a guy like that. So I actually wrote for Darren Waller. Did you say? Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually wrote him up. I actually think it's a really good matchup. Indianapolis, just with the way they play defense and their holes in their zone, They seem to allow a lot of fantasy points. Their two weaknesses are receptions to running back. They seem to, for the last 2 years under the Reich regime, and that sounds bad, Frank Reich, and tight ends where they rank in the bottom 3 in DVOA against the position. They've given up some monster games to tight end. I think at this price, he's a great bargain and a great cash game play at just $19. So I'm right there with you.
Nice. Well, let's go to defense. Who are you looking at?
Once we get the $5 Miami Dolphins in, we got a lot of money to play with, right?
Oh my God,
$5? For the last 2 weeks, I really like this move by Yahoo. They've been pricing Miami $5 less than everyone else.
Dude, I won a tournament with Miami as my defense last week. So sometimes just having the cheapest one, that's not that bad idea.
That's awesome.
But
yeah, I mean, so if we pop I'm not saying we should do this, but if we pop in Miami, we end up with $31 left per. And you know, nice. I mean, it's not the end of the world. They still got Xavier Howard. They still got Rivers chucking up red zone interceptions all the time. So you never know. But I don't know. Kidding aside, where are you at with the?
Well, I don't think we necessarily need a kid. I mean, $5, that's a good price, but. Yeah. I might consider going up to $10. The Broncos are projected as big favorite, or not big favorites, but Jacksonville's only projected for 17 points, I think. And
I love that call.
Yeah, $10 is super cheap for a team that's a favorite facing a team with a 17-point projection.
And a bad offensive line with Bradley Chubb and Von Miller on there. One of the crazy stats of the year thus far is that the Broncos don't have a sack or an interception. So that's probably part of the reason their defense has been priced down so low, and I think regression is coming.
Nice, I like it. So now we got a bunch of money, $29 left.
Oh my God! So what are you like of these like studs here? Are you Team Christian McCaffrey? Do you like any of these guys priced up? Or would you rather kind of spend that money evenly?
I'm not ending up with a ton of Christian McCaffrey. I mean, like, that feels bad, but $38. Let's see what the Carolina's projected.
Yeah, it might be too expensive.
That is pretty expensive for anyone, but he would be one of the guys I consider. Only 21 points projected for Carolina, so not the world's most appealing matchup.
Fair enough. What about Austin Eckler? Even though we already have Keenan Allen in there,
I like Eckler. I think that if you have Eckler and Allen, you're pretty assured to get production between the two of them versus Miami. So that makes sense to me.
All right, popping in Austin Eckler.
Now we got
with Melvin Gordon coming back, he's probably going to see his last full workload, and then we got their other wide receiver whose name just escapes me right now. Mike
Williams.
Mike Williams. I always want to call him Mike Thomas. Mike Williams looks questionable right now, so he might not be in that game as well, which should increase the concentration of that offense too.
I think I saw Justin Jackson's questionable too. So
is that right?
Maybe they won't make him get a ton of carries this week.
That's nuts. I didn't know Jackson was questionable. So, all right, we got $27 left. We got Amari, GPP Cooper. We got Sammy Watkins, Mike Evans. There's a lot of options here. What are you thinking?
The guy I'm landing on is Watkins more than Cooper. I think that Kansas City's projected to do very well. I mean, Watkins' game log hasn't been the greatest. Only 9 fantasy points last week, 8 the week before. But if you average it all out, I mean, it's pretty good with his week one. So that's a nice option. I think that's probably the matchup that's the best. Although, I mean, Detroit has one good cornerback, so maybe that's a factor. Amari Cooper
but like Mike Evans would have to go up against Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters, so probably see a lot of Talib. So, tough matchups all around. I like where your head's at there. Okay. Sammy Watkins, $24, highest total game of the week. You might as well get a little exposure to that, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Are you? Let's move on to. So we got our cash game lineup.
Yep.
hit that submit button and win all the monies this week.
Nice.
Let's move on and build a GPP.
All right, let's do it. So I got my Express top stacks up here, and
Yep.
this is available for both our Express and Platinum members. So you can get this as little as $3.95 a week. And what this does, it averages out all the rankings I have for each player. So you can kind of see where are the best spots and which are going overlooked. So what I'm finding here is that Arizona grades out very well as far as value and overall projection, but they only have a 3.5% ownership for Kyler Murray. So that is an appealing option. Also, Matt Ryan, one of my favorite GPPs, plays every week. Similar ownership and projection there. Which of those two guys do you think is the better play?
Sorry, it was Kyler Murray. Who was the other one?
Kyler Murray and Matt Ryan.
Oh, man, that's a tough one. I would probably go Kyler Murray, but I'm all right.
So I think
I don't know. I don't like Ben, but Matt Ryan's on the road here, isn't he? Up against the Titans, or is he at home?
Let's see here. I like how Yahoo has these money lines or spreads and team totals. So Atlanta is a 4-point favorite versus Tennessee at home.
Okay, yeah. So they're at home in the Dome. I think I would probably just lean towards the savings with Kyler Murray.
Okay.
But yeah, and then I do like the game stacking options as well if you want to do that. But man, that's a tough call. I could see. Let's fire them in.
Well, I mean, we're making two lineups, so
let's do it. Yeah, we can make two.
Okay, so we got who we're gonna to handcuff the Murray? You think?
To handcuff Murray?
Yeah, just that wide receiver or whatever.
Who are we stacking them with? You mean?
Yeah, isn't that what it's called? Maybe it's less used this year, but
I understand handcuff as you have a player as a backup if that player gets injured or if anything happens to that injured as kind of like a hedge, not a stack. But maybe there's different terminology for DFS. So we got Larry Fitzgerald at $22. We got Christian Kirk at $19. I'm pro Fitz Magic a little bit, but Kirk 12 targets. I mean, we could easily go both of them here. What's your take?
I like both. I mean, the quarterback production is just the sum of the receivers for the most part. So if these two guys go off, then Kyler Murray is going to have a sick game, and that makes you only have to get 2 right instead of 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have Demarius Byrd as well injured. Michael Crabtree released, so we could see a pretty concentrated offense. I don't know if Keyshawn Johnson has been able to carve out much of a role thus far.
Supposedly, with Crabtree released, I think Keyshawn Johnson should get more work. In Game 1, Crabtree didn't play. Keyshawn Johnson saw the field most of the game. So
there you go. Good work. And then with Byrd injured as well. So there's if you want a deep flyer for $10 at the bare min, Keyshawn Johnson's probably not a bad option then.
Nice.
All right, so we got a pretty cheap stack here, right? We got Fitzgerald, we got Christian Kirk. Are we bringing it back with one Seahawk?
Yeah, I think our options are Lockett, Metcalf, Disley, and Carson.
What's your take?
I like this price tag of Metcalf at $15. Disley is a little bit more expensive, but Metcalf may be the forgotten guy because Lockett had a big game last week, and Disley is kind of the talent favorite this week, so Metcalf may go under the radar a little bit.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think ownership-wise as well, he's going to be the lowest owned, probably around 5 to 10% or something like that, whereas Lockett and Disley are definitely getting the buzz there. So
nice.
100% in on that one.
We got our game stack, so...
Are we just popping in the Broncos D as well?
I don't hate it.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that in both cash and GPP at that price.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a great price. But it does cross Fournette off the board for us.
Oh, that's right. Well, that's all right. We got him in cash. So,
yeah.
And then I guess we're also popping in Wayne Gallman.
Yes.
So we got a lot of money left to spend here.
Yeah, $32 per person, man. I like that.
Now, look, I've asked you this before, and I just wanted to check what you had to say. Do you ever do like we've got this main game stack here, Arizona, Seattle? Do you ever do like a little secondary game stack, like maybe you pop in Kerryon Johnson and Travis Kelce? Do you ever do that, or is that just a little bit too much stacking?
It's not something I really go out of my way to do, but I kind of like it. I mean, those two players should kind of have a correlation.
All
So,
right.
you wanna do it?
Well, yeah, I think we're going to have a lot of leftover money though. That's the only thing. If we do those guys, we're going to
So
have $50 left.
yeah, we got 50 left.
So I don't know if we want to go that route, or we could just like instead of we could still go Kelsey and pop in like Christian McCaffrey or some one of these
Oh my
other high price
gosh,
guys. I don't know.
dude, did you see Dalvin Cook is $37 versus the Bears? That is
No,
insane.
that's a tough one to get out to, man.
Wow.
It's a tough week of running back, and that's kind of why I've been a little bit higher on McCaffrey than maybe I should, just because there's so few options, right?
McCaffrey is a great GPP play every week, so I think that he's priced up. That'll make it a little bit harder for people to lock him in there.
All right, let's do it. Especially Houston as well, giving up the fourth most receptions to running backs this year. So it might be, you could see a scenario where he gets going.
Nice.
So we get $29 left. Are we going with back to the, which one of these three tight ends that you mentioned are you highest on?
I already locked in Kelsey, so we're on flex.
Okay,
We got $30 left.
$30 flex. Man.
Michael Thomas, Kamara are
Ooh.
30. Kamara, it could be an interesting GPP play.
I like Kamara. I like Kamara a lot.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, we got our lineup here. I think this has a good chance of cashing and a great chance to win the baller. So
I legit just submitted it, so no one else submitted that lineup.
all right, well, if it wins, man, we'll be splitting this 50K.
yeah, absolutely. Checks in the mail for sure.
Yeah, it's nice that you can play now, man, being in Canada and also Florida available to Yahoo as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great for sure. All right, should we do? We got 5 minutes left. Should we do one more quick cash lineup?
Yeah,
GPP. How about we go like a contrarian build? Like, let's say something that you like is maybe not projected for as highly, but like was Matt Ryan the player that you were interested in? Maybe as like kind of a contrarian GPP build where the ownership isn't there, but the projection is.
So one option that's popping up for me is we got Derek Carr is 0.1% owned.
Ooh, Derek Carr.
Yeah, he actually has some good options in Tyrell Williams and Darren Waller.
Oh man, I love it. That's the kind of GPP play I can get behind.
Okay, so Carr, Waller, Williams.
And then who we bring it back with? Because I'm a little bit worried about T.Y. Hilton and this quad injury. I looked up the other day. It looks like on average, wide receivers with quad injuries produce about 30% less fantasy points than their normal. Are you high on him at all, or are you going to pivot to someone like a Marlon Mack?
I think if he's playing, then I'll probably be happy to have Hilton. But Marlon Mack, he's pretty cheap, 24. I like that too.
Yeah, Oakland ranks near the bottom in run DVOA. They give up a lot of receptions to running backs. Mack's been getting pretty high snap share, I think, thus far. I think this is kind of a smash spot for him with the Colts favored by 6.5 points. So I don't mind popping him in. Maybe we can do this as though T.Y. Hilton's been ruled out.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. And then if T.Y. Hilton's in and he's actually healthier than we think, it's one of those situations where you're going to get lower ownership too. So,
cool.
Okay, we got our game stack. We got $23 left over. We're popping in a defense.
Yeah, let's do it. Maybe let's look at some more options here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we got.
It's kind of you kind of got to pay up a little bit for.
Well, how about Atlanta at Tennessee, or Tennessee at Atlanta? I mean, Mariota, not the world's greatest quarterback, right?
Yeah, absolutely. $13 for Atlanta. Keanu Neal out, unfortunately, but with defense, there's just so much variability that it's so difficult to predict. They'll go under the radar owned, I think, this week.
Yeah.
You've got the situation where a quarterback will turn the ball over pretty easily.
Yeah.
Mariota can't hit the bright side of the barn, so let's fire him up.
Yeah, I think with defense, like the opposing quarterback is one of the biggest factors. So I think uh, what I'm really hoping for is a pick six. Mariota throws interceptions.
So you're telling me the Los Angeles Rams this week? Nice.
Yeah.
All right, we got $25 left. Let's build out the rest of this roster. Let's head over to wide receiver here. Why not?
Right.
Well, anyone in this like $20 to $25 range that you're looking at?
Watkins, Lockett.
I like it.
Yeah, the Galladay could be a good one if we expect Detroit to throw the ball a lot this week.
Want to do a little Watkins Galladay
Yeah, that's it.
combo? Galladay cheap, only $20.
Yeah.
$29 remaining. Should we pop in your favorite running back option as well?
Fournette or
Yeah.
Gallman?
Oh, Gallman. I forgot about.
Yeah. That's gonna be hard. So if we get Gallman, we have
$48. So maybe we take out Galladay.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, we got $34.
So we got we could go for Julio, Hopkins,
Yes.
Beckham. Beckham probably has the toughest matchup versus Baltimore.
Yep.
Or Keenan Allen would be like the
Keenan
challenge.
Allen as well. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's probably the better play because our lineup is already pretty contrarian.
Cool. Keenan Allen, we got $35 left. Ezekiel Elliott, any interest for you?
Yeah.
Austin Eckler.
Let's go with Zeke. I mean, he hasn't hit any week yet. New Orleans should be a competitive matchup. So
Awesome. I cannot wait to start him in the Awesomo Charity League once you click that accept button. All right, that's going to do it for us here on the Awesomo Yahoo Baller Show. We will be back next week at the exact same time to go over Awesomo's projections, Awesomo's ownership grades. We're going to build lineups, go over the top games, discuss the slate just generally. Head on over to Yahoo. You can use promo code Awesomo for $30 in free YSRP rewards. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We have lots of stuff coming up on both Awesomo.com and our Awesomo YouTube channel, so head on over there and check it all out. Thanks again for joining, everyone, and we will see you next week.